So what do you do when you go to a company and they say, okay, we want social media stuff, but we don't want this and we don't want that, and we want you to come to us with this, so how do you respond to them?
I mean, each time we start a campaign, and it depends on the client. Like, you read your client right off the bat. If you say, look, we can take your brand and we can do all these things with it. You can have this, you can have this, you can have this, you can have this, and this is what you should do. 9 times out of 10, they go, whoa, slow down. You know, I don't know about all that, and like I said, the person who may be bringing us in is a little nervous because they could get fired or something if they do that. So you try things, and you try one thing. So if you say, we're going to do Twitter here, this is what we're going to do with Twitter today, and we're going to do this. Now, if this works, and we're going to show you it works, or if it doesn't, we also have a YouTube plan, we have a Facebook plan, we have some other things like that.
But this is, I mean, and you guys have mentioned it before, this is, it doesn't happen, you can't show them like tomorrow you're going to have 2. So how do you pull people who are afraid and say, okay, we're going to do this plan, if this doesn't work, we're going to do that, but 6 months, a year, how do you convince them that this is a good idea?
And this is the biggest thing, is working in this environment, social media environment, it's not something that happens overnight. This should take months and months, if not years, to develop. Right now, we're still being dabbled in. So let's try this for 2 months or 3 months. Let's try it. And that's a hurdle. It's a hurdle we have to get over. So we have to basically, in that first period, try to get people comfortable with it and say, okay, let's extend it. But very few hire us going, okay, this is going to be, I want you to be my social media plan for the next 3 years.
So do you change your plan when you look at it, and when they say, okay, we're going to try this for 2 or 3 months? Do you change your strategy to show them, that it works? I mean, what kind of strategy would you do if they said, okay, we're going to do this for 2 months? So obviously now you have to show them that you're going to be able to do something, as opposed to someone said, you know what, you're going to be our guy for a year.
Right. Like, if you're going to hire us for 2 or 3 months, I'm not going to do necessarily build a social network out for you, because I don't know that that's the right thing. You don't go in and start a Twitter thing and then it disappear after 2 months. And I say, if you're going to want to do this for just a couple months, it's not the thing to do. Maybe we start branching out to some blogs and get to know your product, get to talk about your product. Maybe there's a promotion that we tie in. We do some of those things. So each campaign is very different. We just take a look at the campaign and the client, and we try to make it work. Like, our dream client is someone that basically turns it over to us and says, I want you to run my strategy.
Has that happened?
There are very few of those, and really none, to be honest with you right now. There are a lot of testing the waters. And each one we do, and each time we do it really well. We get them on board, and then we add another thing, and then we add another thing. And this is happening all the time. I would say 99% of our clients come back for more once they try something with us. And that really has been our business growth the last few years, is really clients coming back for more and saying, okay, you did this, I was able to show my boss that this worked, now I can try something else.
But I think also, to your point of when people are afraid, I just recently had this at a panel I was on, where someone said, I want to do this, but the lawyers at my company won't let me. How do I convince them? And what we've done in the past and what we would do now is we sit down and we show them it's happening. So they think they control this. We literally go online and say, here's all the conversations going on about your brand right now. Here's people saying it's shit. Here's people saying it's great. Here's people asking questions about it. It's already happening. You can't control it. So you either participate in it or you pretend it's not there. Here are all your competitors who are participating in it. So now your share of voice in this landscape is smaller and smaller and smaller. Do you want to participate? This is a way to talk to your audience. You can. Here's how we can help you. But the reality is you can't control it. You're afraid of it. I understand. But it's happening, and now it's happening in a grand arena where one person's voice can all of a sudden be amplified times 10, so it's going to keep you pretty honest, said brand. But this is what's going on, and we can help you navigate this. And that's usually where we'll put somebody over the edge when they're scared.
And the other thing, that I find is people want to get on board, but there's a lack of strategy.
Yeah.
So how do you deal?
Well, we'll usually set their strategy, but I'll tell you the hardest thing for us, it's all about their goals. So a lot of times, I'd say half the time, our clients can't always articulate their goals in the social space. So to say, okay, what do you, well, I want to sell more product. Okay, I got it. Everyone wants to sell more product. What are we looking, what kind of needle are we looking to move though? Are we looking to move sentiment? Are we just looking to drive more people over to try your product? Are we looking, which thing is it? Because there are different strategies that are going to move different things.
So take sentiment. What would you guys do if you wanted to drive sentiment?
Well, sentiment has a lot to do with what we'll call conversational marketing. So literally the example I just gave you of showing, okay, here's what's going on right now. We could literally pull a feed from Twitter and start watching people naming your brand and talking about different elements of it. Then we can look through blogs and we can see what people are saying. Then in forums, et cetera, and we can gather and get a sentiment score, for instance. And then we can say, all right, here's our benchmark, here's what we're gonna do. And then we're literally gonna go in and participate. We're gonna look for the key influencers, and that could be somebody within a forum who has a big voice. It could just be the Freddie Wong example I gave you earlier, where somebody who has a sort of following. It could be an influential blogger. It could be what we'll call a gatekeeper, somebody really running a site sort of from a PR perspective, pitching them. But it's all of the above and saying, how are we going to get these people to A, care about the product, B, talk about it? And it goes back to one of our philosophies as a business, which is, why should they care? And all the people that I just named, each one of them is going to care for a little bit of a different reason. And because of social media and being able to target them, you can actually pinpoint, well, that guy's going to care because the product's cheap. That guy's going to care because of the quality of the product. That one's going to care because of the easy use. And we can speak to them specifically about the benefits to them and what that product brings. Now, again, you got to hope that the product, so to speak, is good and it's something they want, which isn't always the case. And speak to the benefits of it and get them to then evangelize, so to speak, or be an advocate, because we've pinpointed what it means to them.
Right, and either one of you, I mean, say there's a brand and it's not doing well.
Yeah.
And the brand's not, it's just not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you deal with that?
We're dealing with that right now, which I can't name it, but there's one right now where we're dealing with it, where the product at the end of the day doesn't necessarily always work and isn't always giving the benefit, and there's a competitor out there that's better. So what we're doing is we're using social media and all that research and getting it back to the client as fast as possible, saying, your price is too high, this is what everyone's saying. So sentiment is awful, meaning you wanted all these bloggers to try it, they hate it. So those who are trying it are ripping it, and most of them just don't want to talk about it because they're at least being nice enough not to talk about it, but they don't like it. So these are the things we have to change. These are the ways we suggest based on these people, and if you make some of those changes, those people will buy in because they've been heard. They've been heard by the brand, you've made improvement for them, and then we go from there. But it is difficult. Certainly on sentiment, it's difficult.
And so what is the response when you...
The response in this case for the brand, they've actually been very, very active. They changed the price point. They've actually changed the structure, so now you can do a free trial of how something works. They've changed some of the bugs on what the actual product is. So there are a bunch of things where they've moved forward, and they've been very forthcoming in talking to the blogs themselves as the brand and saying, here's the benefit of our product, here's what we're doing, how can we make this better for you? So that's been really cool as far as they've participated, is sort of what I was getting at before. You can either ignore it or participate. In this case, they want to drive those people. They know those are the influencers, and they need to learn from them. It's almost like this incredible focus group they're getting too. But we spent, in that particular case, 4 months just doing that for them. So it wasn't really even marketing the product. It was getting all this feedback and all this research because we internally knew the thing didn't work very well. So we were trying to get them this so that we could actually be successful for them.